Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. How is everyone tonight? It's nice to see you all. We've got some good news. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. And don't know if you've noticed, but I do have a live up for tomorrow now, UK time, discussing the Summer Wells case with Cher. Um, it will be it'll be UK time, 3:30 in the afternoon. So where you are, if you're in the US, I'm guessing you're about 5 hours behind me. And if you're in California, it might be 6 hours. If you're in New York, it might be 4 hours. But just have a look at the live. It is on my community page. We are going to be talking about Summer Wells. Who's going to crack first? It should be quite good. My opinions, Cher's opinions. Cher obviously knows them a little bit more than I do, so it'll be good to get her idea on what she thinks. And then, I mean, I've had a little bit of communication with Dom, but nothing like she has. She knows them both a little bit better than me, so let's see. I know she sent Candace a couple of messages tonight, so or today. It's night time here. It's like 11 p.m. I shouldn't laugh. They did make me giggle a little bit, and they shouldn't really. They shouldn't, but it did make me giggle. Sorry. But I did put those on the community page as well. You might have noticed that some of my videos have been made members only. It's just because I have to keep swapping things around for people that are members. So I've got things for members as well. So it's not that I'm privating or getting rid of anything. It's just that I keep swapping things around. So how are you all, guys? We've got some interesting information for you tonight on my freaky things that have had happen to me. So we've got Joan, Neverless. Oh, Kat, I thought you'd gone to bed, babe. I wasn't expecting you to come in. Oh, and we've got Say Less Zombie Looking Ass. Did you like the way I said that? I've always wanted to say that. I don't know why. Blazer, Yvonne Bon. Who else we got? Candace Young. Sparkling's here. Daisy Joe. Wet My Planties. Still makes me laugh. Purple Nights. Oh, we've got loads of nice people in here. Great. Oh, and we've got Sandy Mac. So tonight, what we're going to be talking about, and I'm sure even if Kat wasn't going to bed, she probably wouldn't want to be on this one because I don't think she believes in this kind of thing. And I'm not the type of person to say really that I do, but I'm only going on my experiences, and that's all. I was always brought up. I only really caught on to religion and things like that as I got older, because my parents didn't bring me up with religion. They didn't bring me up with believing in anything really. They always left it up to me. It was always very, if you believe in this. Let me turn the volume up just in case you can't hear me. They used to say, as you get older, you will believe in what you want to believe. So there was never any pressure for you to believe in a certain religion. They wanted me to choose and that kind of thing. So it was always just a case of, if I see it, I'll believe it. That was the way I grew up. So as we moved up from Devon, which is the bottom part of the UK, up north, and I heard about my grandma who lived in this huge it was like there was like a shop at the front, but she had like 3 floors above that, so it was huge. It was like a big flat with a piano and everything. And she used to tell us about this experience she had down in the cellar, with this cold hand touching her. And I used to think, oh gosh, I hope nothing ever like that happens to me. Like, that would just freak me out. Anyway, that was about it. And then as I got older, I think I was about 13 or 14, maybe a bit older, and my granddad had passed away. And one day my mum and dad had gone out, my brother was out, and I was just sat watching TV at home. And I just happened to look up, and I remember just seeing the back of my granddad. He lived with us for a short period of time. And he used to stand at the window at the back looking out at the birds. It was like his pleasure, because my mum had made like the dining room into his bedroom while he lived with us. And I remember thinking, you know, when you just look away and then you look back and it's not there. And I told my mum when she got home, and I was like, Mum, this is what I've seen. And she seemed really interested because she wanted to believe. Of course, my dad was like, Emma, whatever, you know, you're talking rubbish. It's not possible. And I just kind of shook it off and thought, yeah, maybe I just had him on my mind. You know, you do, don't you? You kind of like reason with yourself and you say, well, maybe I just had him on my mind when I just happened to look across, and maybe that's what it is. And I didn't think any more about it. That was that. I don't know about you guys. I think we all have this like way of like psychicness about us. You know, have you ever been asleep or dreamt of somebody or thought of someone, and then the next day you like see them and you haven't seen them for like 6 years, but you'll think about them the day before and then suddenly you'll see them? It's like a bit of a psychic thing. And I used to get that quite a lot, but I never ever mentioned it to anybody, and I never thought anything about it. So I don't class myself as any psychic, nothing like that. I just class myself as fairly normal, really. Having said that, when I tell you what I'm going to tell you in a few minutes, you probably won't think so. But anyway, I'll enjoy it until then. So bear with me. So that was that for that situation. And then as I got a bit older, I never had any problems. Never. Karen says I've seen with my grandfather. Oh, it's horrible if you've lost someone, because in the back of your mind you think maybe I just wanted to see them. You know, maybe like your subconscious wanted you to see them at that point, and you kind of talk yourself out of it being anything. You know, you do. You reason with yourself, don't you? And you say no. Anyway, Dawn just got gone. Certainly did. But we'll talk more on that tomorrow. I've got a live with Share, guys, if you haven't heard. It's on my community page. I can't even get my words out. And that will be quite interesting. So we're going to talk about who's going to crack first. Anyway, getting back to what we're talking about tonight. So I got older and I got to about, I don't know how old I was. 25, 26. I can't remember how old I was when I met Penny's dad. And I'd found this really beautiful estate. It was gorgeous. And it had these big 3-story houses, like 3 bathrooms. Like, oh, they were amazing. And I was like, you know, I'm a paramedic, he's a structural engineer, I'm sure we can afford to get one of these nice houses. And I'd been looking at them for ages because I'd wanted a flat in there when I was on my own, but I just couldn't afford it. And so anyway, we got together and I was like, let's see if we can get one of these nice houses. So I showed him round and he was like, yeah, these are really nice. And I knew that it used to be an old hospital, but that's literally all I knew because I wasn't from Rothwell. So I didn't know the area. So I just didn't think anything else of it. You know, it was a beautiful house. We saw what they were going to look like when they were built, got to choose all the fabric and everything. So I was like, great. We got this house, and in total, I think I was with him about 10, 11 years. I want to say 11 years, but maybe not. I can't think. Anyway, so we got this house, and I'm sure they did give us all the details of what was the land before, but I just, you know, it was just a hospital to me. I wasn't interested in knowing all the details. It was just like a hospital. As long as it's, you know, safe, the house is not going to just fall through and just collapse into a heap, I'm happy. So we were there for, we'd only been there about a couple of weeks. And so we had a bathroom on the very bottom floor, a bathroom on the very top floor, and an ensuite. So we had 3 bathrooms, but we only ever used the bathroom on the bottom floor and the ensuite. We never ever used the bathroom on the top floor. So we kept getting this smell, okay, coming up through the pipes. And it was just the most disgusting, eggy, horrible, disgusting smell you could imagine. You know, like when you know those, I don't know if you've got them over there, I'm sure you have. They're like, they call them fart bombs, and you just like kids throw them, don't they? And then you can smell that awful, yeah. Well, like that, it was just like this eggy smell. And I used to say to him, "Where's this smell coming from?" You know, and I'd be putting bleach down the toilets. I'd be like, "We don't even use this bathroom," and all the pipes were linked apparently. So I had, but I didn't know that at the time. So we got the plumbers out. We'd only been in a few weeks, and they'd come back. There was like, "Is there any problems? You know, let us know." I was like, "Yeah, there's this smell and it's disgusting and you need to sort it out." So they came round, these two plumbers, and they were up there ages. And of course, the day they came, they couldn't smell it, even though I'd shut the door on purpose to try and keep it in there so they could. And do you need a wrench? I think I needed more than a bloody wrench. I think I needed a crucifix. So anyway, this smell, and these plumbers were their ages, and I went in, I'm like, "Have you worked out what it is yet? Is there something blocked?" That's because we haven't used that bathroom since we moved in. Like, we have showers in the ensuite, and there was only us two living there. There was no Penny at that time. So they said, "We can't understand where it's coming from because all three bathrooms, all the pipes are linked, and you're saying it's only coming through this bathroom. It's not possible. You know, if you're going to get a smell coming up through a bathroom, it's going to come through all, because all the pipes are like linked. So you're going to get it in all the bathrooms." So I was like, "No, we're definitely not. Definitely not. It's terrible when we get it. It's like bad, bad." And I'm bleaching, I'm shutting the door. I was even putting a towel underneath the door to stop it coming down because it was that bad. And I had them back twice. The second time they came back, you could smell it. They could smell it. And they were even there even longer. They went outside. They had the drains up outside. They said everything was clear. They couldn't work out what was happening. And they just said, "Well, there's nothing there." You know, almost like trying to make out I was imagining it. Well, it wasn't just me that had smelt it. My mum, you know, Jamie at the time. And of course, I just had, there must be a blockage. There must be something, you know, I wasn't considering anything else. And strange things started happening in this house, worse things. So I'd be sat on the floor, because where that bathroom was, if you imagine the landing at the top of the stairs, it was right in the middle of the landing. And then you had a bedroom on either side. So Penny's bedroom, but obviously she wasn't born yet then, and our bathroom on the other side. So when I was laid in bed, you could see that bathroom. If my door was open, you could look directly into that bathroom. Okay, so I'd be sat on the floor like you do in front of the mirror, you know, drying my hair or whatever on a morning, and all of a sudden there'd be like a black shadow would go past the door. So of course, me not thinking anything of it, as I wasn't at that point, I was thinking, you know, when you get like a black thing in your eye, or like you think you've seen something but you haven't, but I'd be the only one in the house. So I'd think, "I'm just seeing things." So I'd get up, go and look down the stairs, look in the bathroom, nothing. And every time this shadow would go from one side of the door across and in towards that bathroom, you see. So I just thought I was imagining it, not putting the two together at all at this stage. And then one day I was upstairs on the top floor again, and downstairs we had the tumble dryer. We had like a little washroom area, laundry room, and the dryer and the washing machine both stopped mid-cycle. I had them both on, but they were both powered to different electrical sockets. Both of them flew open, water spewed all over the floor. That one, the dryer opened, but obviously there was no water in that, so that was okay. But there was water all over the floor, and I could not work out why both of them had opened mid-cycle. I was like looking, thinking, well, how is that possible? Even then, I hadn't put two and two together, and I was saying to my my partner at the time, I was like, what's going on? And he said, I don't understand, because the electrical sockets they're not together, they're not in the same socket. But I mean, he was no electrician, so he worked in an office, and I was a paramedic, so neither of us had any idea. And various other things carried on happening. This smell continued. We had the plumbers out, I think 3 times in total, but after that I just got to the point where I was fed up with paying, because nobody was actually sorting anything out. And then one day, Penny, this was when Penny was born. Penny and her dad had gone out camping. They'd gone camping for the weekend. I was on nights, and he'd taken her just to keep her occupied while I was on nights. And so I came home, it was like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I sat on the edge of the bed. Oh no, just before that happened, this was when Penny was a baby. So just before this, Penny was a baby. And me and Jamie were laid in bed. We'd stayed up late, we were watching a film. And it was the middle of summer, so it was like the hottest day. It was like 30 degrees. It was night time, so it was about 2 o'clock in the morning. So it's dropped, but even still, it was hot, you know. And plus, we're on the 3rd floor of this house, so you can imagine heat rises. It was always really hot in that house. But I don't like spiders. I've got a thing for spiders. I know we don't live in Australia, but still. So the windows were closed, no fans on. I don't know how I suffered it, but we did. Anyway, we were laid in the bed. I don't know what he was doing, but he was asleep. I just couldn't get to sleep. It was so warm. And I had the covers I was hugging them. I wasn't under them. And didn't really have much on, as you can imagine, it's warm. And all of a sudden, this freezing cold draft. Now, when I don't mean like you're outside and a cold draft hits you. I mean ice. Like as if somebody had got a fan and blown ice cold water, put a block of ice in front of the fan and blown it in your face. All my body went freezing cold. I dived under the covers. I thought, what the hell? Grabbed my phone, and because I'd seen it on this film, so I started flashing around the room. Okay. And I'll show you what I caught on my camera. I started flashing around the room with my camera, and this is what I got. Okay, guys, so you imagine where I am here, I'm in bed. Okay, so if you open the door, on the left hand side, that's the door. Okay, and it's closed slightly, and the right hand side is the wood paneling down the side of the door. Now, if I was to open the left-hand side of that door there where the handle is, you can't see the handle, and pulled it backwards to the left, that would be the bathroom in there, the main bathroom that we never, ever used. Okay, I'm going to go back to the comments so I can see what you put in. So I'm flashing around the room with this camera, and I looked, but I couldn't see anything. It was pitch black in the bedroom, so I put the phone down, but I thought, well, I'll have a look in the morning. Now, bearing in mind that the only thing on that wall where you can see the grey bits is a bath, and it's a lot lower down than any of these things on the screen. Okay, so I was looking at this the following day, and I nearly freaked the fuck out, basically. Sorry about my language. So I'll just zoom in on this. So first of all, let's have a look at this. This is the bottom of what we were just looking at. Now, what I see, and I don't know, well, I'll tell you what, I'll ask you guys first, and you can tell me what you see, and I'll tell you what I see. Okay, so on the right-hand side, obviously the hand, I put that there. That's not in the photo, obviously. But above the hand, what do you see? So bearing in mind, Penny is like in her cot at this point, so she's not likely to be diving out of bed and springing, you know, half a meter up the wall. Yeah, so I kind of see, you might need to zoom in here, or take a screenshot and zoom in later, but What I see is a side profile of a little boy looking left towards what looks like maybe a dog or something. But it looks like a little boy. You imagine like children in those days were a lot skinnier, there was not as much food, they were on rationings and things. So they're not going to be as chunky as they are, and their faces are smaller. But that to me looks like a little boy looking left, and I can see like the hair, an eye, the shape of a nose, a mouth, and then obviously the chin and my little handprint underneath. And then I kind of made a guess at what was on the left because I just thought, well, maybe it's a dog or something. I don't know. Above the hand is another hand holding the door. I think if you zoom in, you'll see the eye and the mouth. Let me zoom out a bit. So it might make it easier to see now. Can you see the eye and the mouth? So everybody I've shown this to gives me a different response. You get the people that say, I can't see anything. And then you get the people that say, oh my God. So I uploaded it to Facebook. So if any of you are friends with me on my private Facebook group, which I don't usually have that many on there, to be honest, I uploaded it back in, I don't know, years ago. And people commented underneath and they were like, Emma, run. Somebody said, set the house on fire. So not long after this, bearing in mind all these strange things are still happening, the washer and dryer only flew open, I think it was once. The dryer flew open again, but it was only the washer that spewed water out once. And but I was still seeing the person go past the door, and the smell would still come every now and again. So let's have a look a bit further. So I'll zoom into the top part and tell me what you think. So I don't know if it's better zoomed out or zoomed in. Now, everybody tells me they can see different, but what it looks like to me is a face, 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth, and maybe, I mean, it's pixel, isn't it? It's difficult. Let's just zoom out, see if it makes it any easier. There. Maria, what are you laughing for? Can you see it or can you not see it? Am I going mad? Tell me. Demonic face. Oh, Christ. I'm glad I don't live there anymore. Meddling with evil spirits. In this case. God. Yeah, probably. Oh gosh. Right. Anyway, so so then yeah, I see 2 faces up top. I see 1 face up top. Oh, maybe. Anyway, I suppose everybody could make something of it. I mean, maybe you can't see anything. Is it a window? No, it's the door is the left white hand side, and the right hand side white is the white paneling along the wall where the door fits to. So what do they call it? Architrave or whatever they call it. So the left hand side is the door, and it's just the crack in the door between, which leads into the bathroom. I was sat in bed. So then Penny, bless her heart, she started with tics at the age of, it started at the age of, I'd say, not many people know this because I don't really tell anybody really, but she started with tics about the age of about 4. And it started with blinking, and yeah, it upsets me, so I don't want to really get into that, but she doesn't particularly do it as much when she's here as she does when she's been at her dad's. And I kind of thought, well, could it be anything to do with that? Maybe I'm just going mad. And so I spoke to Penny's dad at the time about this, and I was like, I'd rung the vicar down in the church, in the Rothwell area where I lived. And when I rang him, he said, because I said, I didn't know what to say. What do you say? So I rang up and I was like, right, I'm a professional person. I don't want you to think I'm crazy, because you kind of feel that you need to do that, because otherwise you think people are going to think you're mad, because so many people just don't believe in that kind of thing, that I felt that I needed to kind of back myself up on that. So I said, I'm not crazy. Okay, Robin, I will. I said, look, I'm not crazy, but something's happening in my house. And before I could say any more, he said, do you live on the St. George's estate? And there was a silence. There was just a silence, because I wasn't expecting him to know that. How could he possibly know that? I had not told him where I lived. And I said, yes. Why? And he said, you're not the first person to call me. I was like, right. Now that freaked me the hell out then, because I was like, okay, I don't really speak to the neighbours. I'm always at work. Is there something I should know? Like, I didn't know anyone in the estate, certainly nobody that was having similar problems. So this place before I lived there was a hospital, like I'd said, that was it. And so I thought, well, maybe it's somebody from the hospital. Anyway, Penny had gone camping with her dad one day, and she was a bit older. She might have been about 7, I think. And I'd come home and it was like 3:00 in the morning, and I was sat on the edge of the bed in the bedroom, kind of looking around thinking, oh, I've got the house to myself. This is nice, no children waking up in the morning, this is nice. And there was a noise, okay, just like somebody dropped something. And so I thought, right, now, and I completely sound ridiculous saying this, but at the time I was on my own, so it didn't matter. And I just said, if there is anybody here, I'm not scared of you. I said, but would you make a noise so I know you're there? And straight away, bang, I was like, no way. So you do it again, don't you? Then at that point, you're like, that's just because you try and reason with yourself. I was like, maybe that just happened that just happened at that exact point. It was just, it's just, I'm just not imagining but it was just maybe one of the cats or something. So I asked it to do it again, and of course it didn't. So I thought then, well, maybe it was one of the cats, and you'd reason with yourself. I don't know why, whether it's like a self-soothing thing, it makes you feel better. So I'd rung the vicar and I'd asked them to come, and this was before this, and so I'd arranged for him to come out to the house. Okay, so he said yes, and he arranged a time. I think it was a Tuesday. He was going to come like at lunchtime, and all was great. And so I was looking forward to him coming, telling me if he could sense anything, because I didn't really know what I was doing. I hadn't really told him all the things that had gone on. I thought, well, I'll tell him when he gets here. But because he'd not questioned it at all when I first told him there was something going on in my house, I thought, oh, well, I'll tell him when he gets here, you see. So he arranged to come. And then when Jamie got home from work, I was like, right, you never guess what? May says, shut up, I will still be running. Yeah, but it's kind of weird because I didn't feel scared, if that makes sense. So he came home from work and I was like, I need to talk to you. Can you sit down? So it's like, yeah. And I had mentioned things to him, but every time I told him anything about anything I felt, or he was just, oh yeah, kind of like looking at me like I was a bit mad, or it's just Emma, she's quirky. She's fine. It's fine, Emma, you're just reading too much into it. I'd get all kind of things like that. People are so closed off to these things that they're never going to see anything or hear anything. I've always been one of those people that, if I see it, I believe it. Whereas there's certain people in life like him that's just like, I don't believe it. That's that. And at that point, you're just never going to witness anything, I guess. And so I told him, and he said, no way is that guy coming to my house. And I was like, what do you mean? I've arranged for him to come. And he said, well, you didn't ask me. And he was a bit narcissistic, to be honest. Well, quite narcissistic. And he liked to tell me what to do, tell me how to speak to people, all that kind of stuff. You probably had one like it before. And so he basically said, he's not coming to our house. So I said, why? Why can't he come to the house? He said, because if there is anything, this is Mr. I don't believe, right? If there is anything going on, you could make it worse and piss it off by starting to bring a Vic around. And I'm like, but I thought you didn't believe in any of this stuff. And he said, well, I don't. But if there is something that I don't know about, then you could, annoy it, and it might be bad. It could create a lot of harm. So I'm like, so I said, well, what do I have to do? Cancel it, because I really want to know what's going on. He said, yeah, you're going to have to cancel it because I'm not having him coming into my house. So, of course, at the time and everything, I thought, well, I've got to be respectful and everything. So I cancelled this guy. And he probably wouldn't have even known. But I thought I better do the right thing. So I cancelled him coming. And I kind of just lived with it because we weren't going to move. The house prices had dropped. We had money tied up in the house. Well, I did. And there was just no way we could afford to move. I didn't feel, funnily enough, I didn't feel unsafe. Like, I didn't feel scared. Yeah, it's weird. It sounds scary when you talk about it in the way I have, but I didn't feel scared. And one day I thought, right, I'm going to speak to this thing. And I was like, I'm not scared of you, but I think it would be good if we could all just live happily together. Like, I'm no threat to you, you're no threat to me. Because at this point I had a child, and I thought, if there is anything, and I haven't been imagining it. And you know what? I never saw it again after that. But before that happened, I decided I wanted to know more about this situation. So I contacted the central library in the area, in the town that I live in, to ask more about what this land was prior to me living there. Okay, so let's go back a little bit. Right. I'm on the iPad tonight, so bear with me. Okay. Okay, so let me get my phone because it's so small on the screen. I can't see anything. Okay, so in the 1700s, this is way before it was ever a hospital. It was a workhouse for children and teens, some adults, and it later became a hospital. It says that it was opened in 1638. It was a workhouse. It tells you even what they used to eat. So they used to get bread and beer for breakfast. Let's get the bread and beer. Can you imagine? So it said they used to get bread and beer for breakfast, beef and broth, like soup, for dinner. That was on a Sunday, and porridge for supper, like soup on Monday, rice milk for dinner, and then milk porridge. So it wasn't a massively substantial. I suppose they had some potatoes. They didn't have really any veg or fruit. You can imagine why scabies came in, can't you? Okay, some more pictures. So this is like the beds that they slept in. This is the land where, this is a workhouse. This is the land where my house was built. Okay. And it reopened again in 1738 as another workhouse for children. Telling you who it was owned by, who ran it and everything, which won't mean much to us. So there's like a map. Where's the map? So that's the map there. And you see the corner of the street. So the bottom here, where it says Leeds Lady Lane, if you go up there, where you hit that corner where it says workhouse inside, I used to live just inside that corner there where it says, just at the beginning of where it says workhouse. Oof. Okay, so when I saw that, I was like, I wonder if one of those kids, that little kiddie that I saw, if you believe in any of this stuff, was a kiddie that maybe was from this workhouse. That's all I could think of. You know, I was trying to rationalize if there is a possibility of rationalizing at all what I'd seen, because I knew I hadn't imagined it. Well, you know, at first you kind of doubt yourself, and that's like, I think that's like a kitchen. And it said that there were 154 inmates, so they called it inmates. They called them inmates, and a few, they used to call them idiots. So they'd said inmates in the workhouse, of whom 42 are old and infirm, men and lunatics. How they could get away with saying that. 56 women, many of them soldiers, wives, 56 children, mostly under the age of 12, working, and there were a few cripples and idiots. Can you imagine calling people that? It was a very old building with accommodation for 200 people. There was 20 beds in each room. God, can you imagine if somebody snored? You wouldn't be impressed, would you? No wonder he was stuck in my bathroom. Probably wanted some peace. And they just had they had 2 blankets and a rug. And it said what the diet was, but we've seen that. It's sad, isn't it? You can just imagine all those kids under 12. My Penny can't even make a slice of toast. And these kids will probably cooking full-on roast beef. You know, well, they won't be the nicest part of the beef, will it? But you know what I mean. And so this workhouse, where a lot of these poor people lived, so that they could get somewhere to sleep, somewhere to stay, a meal. And of course, they weren't really getting paid. They were getting lodgings and they were getting food in their tummies rather than being on the streets, you know. A lot of these kids will have been orphans. It's so sad. I'm just looking to see what else it said. Some of them did get paid, but it said they were like the older ones, and they might get. Oh, it's no. Wait a minute. It said the people that are like the main family that taught all the others to work there got £50 for their whole family a year to train everybody else how to be. Is that right? Sounds like a lot. Mind you, 50 all those years ago. Is that a lot? I don't know. It sounds like a lot for all those years ago, but anyway. So let me see if I've got some more pictures for you. So we've done the workhouse. So the women there, they're ironing sheets, or I don't know what they're doing. So maybe they used to get sheets or bedding from places and they used to wash it. I don't know. The house where the kitchen was, the dormitories. This was the main, one of the main houses. And here we go. The clock tower there in the middle still stands to this day. And all those new houses that one of the ones that I had, I lived to the right of this, you know, a bit more towards the corner of the road. And that clock tower still stands with all the brand new houses built around it. So, okay, let me get your opinions on this so far, because I've come out of the comments. Yeah, cow's head. I agree, human. Yeah. It won't have been anything nice. It won't have been sirloin, will it? I mean, I don't eat red meat, but it won't have been the nice stuff. Ironing sheets, yeah. And so anyway, there's a website for this hospital, and it was called, I think it's called, I can't remember what the website was called, but it St George's Hospital, something or other. And so back then I went on the site because I was like, I need to find out if anybody has had a similar problem. Well, there was nothing, but there was a thread, you know, you could comment. Look for people that maybe we used to work at the hospital after, because it was a hospital after this. And so I left a comment and I put, you know, there's some strange happenings going on in my house. I don't want you to think I'm crazy, but we live on, and I told them what street we lived on the estate. And I said, has anybody else had problems? And my email address was attached to it. It was a while. It took 2 years, but eventually somebody reached out to me. I got this random email from this random person. She said, I also live on the estate. It sounded like a woman. She said, certain things keep happening in my house. And I was like, okay, so I'm not the only one. She said she would position things purposely in rooms, like she said a vase, this green vase that she's got on a windowsill, and luckily it had not smashed, but she positioned it in the middle of a windowsill and shut the door. She used to shut all her doors because they were all fire door, you know, doors. And she'd come home and it would always be on the floor. And she would start positioning things to see if they would move. And she said, there's definitely something going on in this house. And so I did a few emails back and forth. I can't remember. I'd love to get them up actually and see if I can find them on my phone. We're looking at 2017 maybe. So a while ago, but I'm sure I could find them if I tapped in the right thing in the search bar. Anyway, so that was that experience. After it was a workhouse in the 17th, 18th century, it then went to a lunatic asylum. Okay. So you can see the clock tower still there. This was after it closed, I think. And got all the photos from the same place. But this was the lunatic asylum. So you can see it doesn't look particularly nice, does it? I mean, it's not. It doesn't look too good. You wouldn't want to be in there unless you were mad, really, would you? You know. And that housed the criminally insane. That's what it said. The criminally insane. Now, I work on an ambulance, for anybody who doesn't already know. And I picked this old lady up. It was a few years back now. I've been doing the ambulance service for 20 years. But I picked this old lady up once and we got chatting. And she said to me, I said, you know, I was in the ambulance with her for ages because I think we were going somewhere. And we were chatting and she said, oh, where do you live? And I told her. And she said, oh, I used to work over there. And I said, oh, whereabouts? And she said, oh, I used to work at the hospital. And I said, oh, yeah. She said it was when it was like, when they were closing the lunatic asylum and making it into a hospital. So I was like, oh, okay. And she said, she was pretty old. And she said, oh, God, she said it was a weird place to work, that it was a weird place to work. And so I thought, right, I'm going to ask her. I said, do you think it was haunted? I said, because there's some strange things going on in my house. And she just nodded at me and she said there was some strange happenings in that hospital. She said nobody liked to work nights. Nobody at all wanted to work nights. It was a very cold place and it was just not a nice place to be at all. Everybody wanted to do day shifts. It just wasn't a good place to be. Let me just have a swig of my cider. So anybody that's interested in any of this information, I can send you it. So more photos. So that's when it turned into the hospital. So they kept some of the old building. You can see the main house at the front, and they just kind of built on at the back and then added tunnels to get through to different departments. Now, can you see the building on the left, far left, bottom left-hand corner? That's the mortuary. Now, I know when I was telling you about that corner of the road before, over here, far left, that was where the corner of the road was, and my house was set back just from that field there. So my house was built literally where just after the start of where that hospital was knocked down, right where that morgue was. It couldn't get any worse. I asked for the plans. I dug all the plans from when we bought the house. Of course, it came up as hospital. But when you actually open the plans up and get a proper, when I went to the library and asked for all the plans of everything, the hospital and everything, that is the mortuary. And that's what my house was built on. So who that was in my bathroom, I have no idea. I don't know whether the kid was part of the workhouse, whether the older phase is somebody from the hospital, the lunatic asylum. Maybe I'm imagining it. I don't know, but it's weird to me. I can see you all saying it's all a bit weird. And you would think I'm crazy, and I'm actually fairly sane, to be honest. Well, fairly, you know, on a score of 1 to 10, we'd say about 7, you know, out of 10. Maybe your confidence in me has slightly dwindled since I came live tonight. But seriously, guys, this is one of the hospital like corridors. This was the hospital, so one of the newer parts of the hospital. I mean, you can see one of the cars there. It looks like a 50s car. I mean, you don't. How long ago is it since you saw a car like that? Yeah, St George's Hospital, Rothwell. There you go. Look, 1981. So 80s. So that's right. That was one of the newer parts of the hospital because it'll have been it looks about 20, 30 years old there. And so, like I say, it was a workhouse. Mary Evans, she was one of the people that these photos belong to. She was the lady that actually worked at the workhouse. She was like one of the ones that apparently, so I've read, was like the head of the place. So all these photos must have been kept in a box, and maybe her family have passed them on to the library or whatever. But so that was the workhouse for the kids. Then it kind of went into a mental asylum, which is this. And then later on, it turned into the hospital, and it had like the tunnels coming off it then. But it was pretty spooky. I'm going to look at your comments before I move on to the next thing I've got to tell you. This is just kind of as spooky. So what do you think, guys, to this? Am I 7 out of 10 batshit crazy? I've got some good spooky stories for you. Is it abandoned? Right. Well, that's what I was saying, Martha. You might need to re-listen again when you finish, because what I was telling everybody is it was a workhouse. It then was a lunatic asylum. Then it was a hospital. Then it was empty for quite a while, and it was abandoned. Then it got knocked down. Then they built my house on it, along with a load of other houses, brand new houses. And this is the photo I took amongst all these other crazy things going on in that house. This was the photo that I took between the door and the wall, the door frame, into this bathroom where all this strange stuff was happening. And I mean, I see an adult at the top. I see a child looking left at the bottom on the right hand side. And then I don't know what that thing is on the left, but there's nothing in there. So a dog, maybe. I don't know. I mean, what do you see there? Do you see anything? Yeah, so the door, that white bit on the left hand side, that's a door. That's the crack. That dark bit is the crack in my door. So the left hand side is the door, the white door. The right hand side is like the wood paneling around the door. So if I was to push that door to the right, it would close and you wouldn't be able to see any black. But it's slightly open. It's probably like however many inches wide. And you could just see into the bathroom. And I'd taken pictures flashing around with my camera in the middle of the night because this freezing cold draft had come through, and it was enough to make me dive under the covers. And that was what I caught. And when I put it on Facebook, and I was like, because at first I was just thinking, see what people think. And everybody was like, run, move out, and burn the house down. They were the comments that I got. So I assumed people could see something at that point, and it wasn't just my imagination. And when I showed Jamie, Penny's dad, he was like, I can't see anything. And I was like, what do you mean you can't see anything? Look at the eyes. And he was like, no, I can't see anything. I was like, are you crazy? You can't see anything. What about down there? Look at the face. It's a little boy. He's like, no, it's just a black blob. So I don't know whether he was saying that to try and get me to shut up about it, or whether he couldn't really actually see anything, but he never admitted anything. And he never seemed interested, and he never said he saw anything or felt anything. And Penny still goes back there. I know men. If they say they can't see anything, everybody else is crazy. Well, narcissists anyway. A body, Robin. Oof. Can you see a body? Or do you mean go watch this and I'll see a body? Right, so shall we move on to my next freaky situation? Are you ready for this? Okay, so so me and the boyfriend, we work shifts, and it was like, we need to go on a day out, let's go somewhere nice. He doesn't really want to be on, so I've not particularly got his face on, but it shows that we're there, we're out for the day. You can see this like castle thing, but it's actually an abbey. So it was a castle, and then they actually, looking over this, it's actually earlier than I thought. I put 1600s when I put it on my community post earlier on. Oh, let me plug my phone in and my iPad in. 1 second, guys. So the cat jumped up before and knocked my iPad down just before I went live, and it knocked the wire out of the iPad. Okay, so no, this is in somewhere called Kirkstall. It's called Kirkstall Abbey. Let me get my phone and I can tell you a bit more about it. Okay. Did I not put any? I thought I got some information together about it. Maybe not. Maybe not. I thought I had, but never mind. So I'll tell you. So it was actually Henry. It was owned by Henry VIII or something. I don't think he lived there, but it was owned by them. It's in Kirkstall in Yorkshire, and it was given and used as a monastery. So it was built in the 1100s, and all these monks lived there in a monastery. Okay, and we were there for the day because I was thinking, take him somewhere. He's from Egypt, let's take him somewhere in Yorkshire. Let's have a day out. Can walk round. It was summer at the time, and Yorkshire puddings. And we'll have a wander around, and we'll go for like tea and cake, very British. And we wandered around, and he found it quite interesting. He quite enjoyed it. We had a wander around, took some photos together. In fact, we took a few because we'd been together for what, 6 months, 8 months, and we had barely any photos of each other. So we took some photos, and this was one of them. I'm not going to bore you with all my lovey-dovey photos, but this was one of them. And in the background, you can see how it's crumbling, this thing now. I mean, they're basically trying to keep it, preserve it. They don't want to build on it. I don't think they're allowed to, but they're trying to keep it the best they can. And it's so old. And so the monks lived there. Now, let me zoom in. Can anybody see behind me over my left shoulder there? Well, that's my right shoulder, I guess, is it? Left shoulder. You can probably just see like a black figure. There's like a picnic bench, and then there's like this black figure behind me. So we took a load of photos, and then when we got home, he'd taken them. It was his phone. And so I said to him, "Oh, can you transfer me all those photos?" And he was like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, no problem." So he started transferring them to me. And I was looking, and we were the only ones there. It was a weekday. All the kids was at school. All the adults were at work. There was no one there. We walked in, and there was like two people, and they were leaving. It was summer, and there certainly wasn't anyone dressed in black. Okay. So I'm going to zoom in on this. What the hell's that? Because to me, it looks like a monk, or maybe quite slim legs. Maybe it is a nun, and they've got something over their shoulder. So that was in the background of one of my photos. Okay, so we're snapping at these photos. Okay, nobody had chance to, because I'm always turning around making sure there's nobody watching because I get embarrassed. So there she is, or he. I think it's a girl, quite thin legs, black tights, black little boots that like look like they probably lace up round her ankles or something. Black hood, middle of summer. I doubt it. So we're snapping away. Less than 30 seconds later, oh, also mention that she looks like she's got one of those very, very old suitcases, brown suitcases at her feet. Okay, so I like receipts. You know what I'm like, guys? Always got receipts. Don't come for me, Trisha. Don't come for me. I always have receipts. So, moving on. So, less than 20 seconds later, I snap another one. Okay, I just moved. We moved slightly to one side because we wanted the this bit behind us. Let me show you. Where's she gone? Picnic bench. Picnic bench. Picnic bench. Picnic bench. Where's the girl gone? I just nearly, and I'm like looking at him and I'm going, guys, I said to Penny, can you see anything? He's like, oh, yes, there's a woman there. I said, there was no one there, Penny. And Bula says, I can see somebody stood there. Maybe it was a girl that just came in. I said, what, on her own? Wearing black and black tights in summer with a hood up? Nobody who dresses like that? I mean, I know we live in a different country, guys, but does anybody dress like that over there? Because they certainly don't dress like that over here. So, I mean, I've not sent these to anyone because, in fact, nobody's seen this photo. I don't think because nobody'd be interested. I thought I'd tell you, but yeah. So that photo was just like a couple of seconds later. I couldn't understand where she'd gone, but I mean, what do you think? Because I know in the olden days you used to get like, say, a pillowcase, for instance, like some material. They'd put whatever they wanted to carry inside the material. Then they'd ruche it all up together, grab it and throw it over the shoulder. And that's what it kind of looks like to me. But I don't know. What's your opinions on this? Robin, you've had some experiences as well. No suitcase row in the second photo. Let me show you. There's just nothing there. There. And I don't think she'd be at this place with a suitcase, do you? Just seems weird. I mean, I can zoom in closer, but there's something hanging off the back of that thing on her back. It certainly doesn't look like a rucksack, does it? I mean, we've got another photo here, of like up there, but you can't see anything because she was to the right. We did that one after, but this is the same. This was clicked just a couple of seconds after. We're stood here, so she should be there. I've just cut us off, but what just doesn't make any sense, you know? In the middle of summer. Yeah, like a knapsack. Because that's what they used to carry, didn't they? Because they didn't have bags and things in those days. Well, I suppose they must have had something because it looks like a suitcase by your feet. But I think they did still used to put things in like a knapsack, didn't they? And throw them over the shoulder. Yeah, it's like a brown, like leathery looking thing. I don't know why she's staring at a wall though, do you? I mean, I don't stand there and stare at the wall often. I mean, what's she doing walking through it? I mean, that's even scarier. I don't even want to think. No problems, Barbara. I thought, I know some people don't like this kind of thing. Some people are very closed off to it, but I've always said, if I see something, then I'll believe it. And I certainly do now after the experiences I've had. And then the house that I'm living in now, it's just a tiny house, and it's an old one. It was built in the late 1800s, so I'm guessing a lot of older people probably lived here and passed away, and because people used to stay in the same house years ago. And when we first moved in, I'd wake up at like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. I could smell coffee, like really strong. I mean strong, like proper espresso coffee. And so I'd go downstairs and I'd be like, where's this coming from? And I'd stick my head outside the front door, nothing. The back door, nothing. Like, where's this smell of coffee coming from? Because it's certainly not coming from my house. I don't drink coffee or tea. Like, I drink green tea, but no coffee. And so I couldn't understand where it was coming from. And my hairdresser, she was a psychic, and she said to me one day, because she used to come to the house, why don't you try talking to it and saying, like, can you just stop it with the coffee? And I just laughed. I said, don't be daft. And she said, no, why don't you try it? So anyway, when no one was there, and I was like, okay. And I think I even gave him a name. I think I gave him a name. Like, I can't remember what I called him now. And I said, can you just stop with the coffee? I said, because it's a bit annoying, every morning waking up to the smell of coffee at 4:30, 5 o'clock. I don't drink it. Like, if you like it, then take it somewhere else. And you know what? I've never smelt it since. Never. So whether that's just my just thinking, oh well, I can't smell it anymore. That's it. They've gone now, or what? I don't know. But never smelt it again. But then Penny said to me, Mum, is this house haunted? Because you know what kids like. They're scared of everything, aren't they? And Penny's always saying to me, Mum, I'm scared about this or I'm scared about that. And she said to me, is this house haunted, Mum? And without any hesitation, I just looked at her and I said, no. Like 100% no. Because the coffee thing's gone now, like there's nothing. And I just said no. Almost as if, like, if it was haunted, I'd know about it. Like, I'd just know about it. And there was no hesitation at all. And I do think that I've got something. Now, I don't think I could just walk into a house and go, I feel a presence. Like, I couldn't do that. I'm sure I couldn't. But if I lived in a house for any period of time, I think I probably could, you know. Hey, Mamie. Spirit Hunter. Loved ones know when you're speaking to them, or just for your information, you're loved. Yeah, I've always liked to think that. I used to do it more when I was a kid. I used to speak to my grandma and granddad. Yeah. Emma, does the second photo have a wider view? I mean, that's with me zooming in. And I don't know, with it being pixel, obviously, from a camera. And we're talking back in 2017, 18. So, I mean, obviously cameras, they're not like, it was an iPhone, but it's not like an iPhone now, you know? You're talking about like an iPhone 3 or 4 or whatever they were. So it's not brilliant. The pixel's not great. And the further you zoom in, I don't know if you get less focus. Yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe send it to Donna. I don't really speak to Donna, but I do speak to Sweetie Pilo, so I will email her and ask her. I was only talking to her yesterday, actually. Oh. So yeah. So what do you make of it all so far? I mean, which did you enjoy listening to the most, and what fascinated you kind of more? Take a screenshot of that if you want, and then look back at it afterwards. You know, take a screenshot of the screen. So tomorrow it'll be my afternoon. Will be your morning. If you go on the community page, I've got it listed there. Doing a live tomorrow with Cher on our opinions on who's going to crack first in the Summer Wells case. Cher has been messaging Candace. That's sure we'll talk about that tomorrow, and we're going to give our opinions on what we think, what's been going on with that, talking more about Don's arrest. If any more information's come up on that, we'll be able to talk about it tomorrow. I think it's going to be, so it'll be 3:30 in the afternoon here. You're 5 hours or 6 hours behind me. So just set a reminder. So let me have a look at some of your comments. Robin, let me see what Robin's put. I turned my app on in bathroom and it did speak. No idea who. So you don't need to think of anyone either. I bet you're an empath. I don't know. I mean, I guess if there is anything in it, then I guess I am. How much? I don't know. Second photo of the old monastery. You liked that one? It's weird, that. It really is. It's not. Once after he died, I left a device in next room. Now in his room, picked up a little silver item, no idea what it was, and stepped on without a word. Spoke. Ooh. Gosh. Bye-bye, humanimal. Yeah, it should be interesting tomorrow because obviously, you know, Cher's spoken to both of them. I've spoken to Don a little bit, but not half as much as Cher has. So, you know, now he's in prison, she might feel a bit happier about releasing some stuff and talking about, you know, her opinions. I'll put forward mine, and no ghost talk tomorrow though. Thanks for the content on your channel. I just thought I'd bring a bit of something different because it's always kind of in the back of my mind. I've never really talked about it. Can't wait for tomorrow's live. 8:30 where you are. Mountain time. 8:30 a.m. Okay, guys. Well, I'm glad I could entertain you for an hour. I'm sure there's other people that are going live as the day goes on for you. Unfortunately, my day's kind of over here now. It is 15 minutes past midnight, so I'm gonna ring the boyfriend if he's still awake and go to bed. I was a skeptic too in the beginning. Yeah, I think it just takes you to see something, unless you're closed off to it. So if you could press the like button, and if you haven't subscribed, which I'm sure it looks like most of you guys have, I've seen you all before, but if you haven't, press subscribe, and then you don't miss anything else. Um, we generally do cover the Summer Wells case on this channel, but we also have CSO 2.0, and that's where I share documentary style videos there. Okay, well, thank you for being here with me for the past hour. Thank you, all the mods and all my members. And I'll talk to you soon. Talk to you tomorrow, guys. Take care, everybody. Night, night. Bye, bye.